FM News Talk 97.1. On demand audio.
It's a parent's worst nightmare. I'm hearing from so many parents about this situation with Kirkwood High School and KSDK, and we've repeatedly reached out to KSDK, to News Director Mike Shipley, who ultimately would have had to approve this story, as well as other Gannett executives who own and operate KSDK, and nobody wanted to come on air with us. I just wanted to confirm that, correct, Kevin? Nobody wanted to come on air and explain their actions.
Never heard anything back. I talked to but I did talk to Kirkwood, and they were very cooperative. But I can understand their stance on the whole situation right now. That what the way KSDK was. I mean, it was kind of like a catch them with their pants kind of down moment, and it's like I understand why they're kind of done with the story, and they want to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, they had a whole district or whole school of terrified kids and terrified parents, and parents who are justifiably angry over this. And one of those is Corolla Gloyd, who has children in Kirkwood High School. Good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for covering this, Dana, and thanks for having me.
Of course. I mean, I cannot imagine. How did you find out initially that this was going on, that the school that your child attends was having a lockdown?
Well, that's kind of crazy because I was out yesterday running errands in Kirkwood, stopped off to get some lunch, and was just by myself and reading through my phone and going through some news stories on ABC News or CNN. And I was actually reading a story that they had uncovered a phone call into a radio station from the Sandy Hook shooter. That's what I was reading on my phone at the time. When I get an email from the school system that we have a robocall. That's not the name of the system, but that we have a robocall that if I were home, my phone would ring and I would answer it, and seeing that it was Kirkwood School District, and I would get the call immediately. But our email system, they have an email system as well, and I played the message, and it's Ginger Casey stating that she's the communications director, that this is all we know right now. Kirkwood High School is on lockdown. And, I mean, you just go into instant panic mode. Of course, you assume the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. And it didn't help, of course, obviously, that you were reading that story sitting somewhere by yourself right when you get that message from the school. Every horrible thought runs through your head. So did you go to the school? Like, did you try calling? What did you do?
I did not, because I actually had to, I was going to do something for my mother after that. So I was just on standby and just, of course, kept checking for the updates. And the next update came about an hour later that it was confirmed that the school was safe. And that it's just, the whole thing is so completely outrageous. To address the previous caller, I can appreciate someone's reaction to this, that, the guy did get in and did go off a different direction and they weren't able to find him. However, and I'm not a spokesperson for Kirkwood School District. I'm a parent of two students, actually, at Kirkwood High School, a freshman and a junior, and a strong supporter and volunteer in the district. And but there's seven, like you said, there's actually 8 buildings on that campus. There's 2,000 kids. Those kids go between those buildings. It's a college-like campus. It even states it on the Wikipedia under Kirkwood High School. It's a college-like campus. Unless we go to some futuristic system of like eye scans or fingerprinting, people can go between buildings. They are unlocked. But there are systems in place to guard against these things happening, and it obviously works because the school went on lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one thing that a lot of parents were disputing the KSDK report, because the way that the news report presented it was that the school acted very slowly, and that through their perspective, that all these students were in danger because the school acted so slow. But you disagree with that?
Yes. And I did not watch the Channel 5 coverage at 10 p.m. because I was still so upset about it, and I didn't want to see their slanted. I heard your intro with Lisa Zigman earlier in the show, and I did watch the 5 o'clock news, and I thought it was very interesting that 2 other local stations, including KMOV, did choose to cover it as their lead story at 5 p.m., but there was none of it on KSDK because they were leading. They had posted on their website their statement, watch their coverage at 10 p.m. So I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that the KMOV coverage of KSDK doing this was great. I thought that was fantastic. I did want to say that the chief of police in Kirkwood was on one of those lead stories, and he stated that Jack Plummer, the chief of police, stated that they are thinking of pursuing a disturbance of the peace charge for that reporter. And we got an email last night from the superintendent, and he stated that they did not realize it was a KSDK reporter until they called the cell phone number that he left at the front desk in the main office, and then on his voicemail message. Now, this is extremely irresponsible to me. If you know you're doing this and you're pulling this kind of a stunt or a prank, as you called it, which I totally agree with, isn't it responsible to answer your freaking cell phone after you leave?
Yeah.
You wouldn't answer his phone.
And the way that the report put it was that he had left his name at the desk and his full identification, which apparently he did not.
No, just his name and phone number. And they identified him as a KSDK reporter because his voicemail recording states that.
Wow.
So they called KSDK to double check this, and KSDK, like you said, would not confirm or deny that he was a reporter. So they stated, we have to go on lockdown. And if he's a KSDK reporter, it's kind of a big deal, and they still wouldn't confirm or deny. So KSDK knew that Kirkwood was going to have to move forward with that protocol, and they still wouldn't confirm or deny, which is totally outrageous. Like you said, the kids could hear police running around on the roof, they're making sure that everything was okay. But they didn't know that it was the
scared?
Police.
Yeah. Were your kids scared?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
One of my students was told by the teacher that they were pretty sure that it was not a threat that the school was not under an immediate threat. So he was okay. But man, most of the kids were really scared, I think, it sounds like.
Yeah, and the school, you mentioned Ginger Casey, and she had given I think, a brief interview about it. And in that interview, she seemed none too pleased because the school had no idea what was happening. And it wasn't just Kirkwood. There were a number of other schools that apparently they did this to all on the same day. When did you find out that other schools were also, I guess, kind of targeted, for the lack of a better way to put it?
When I got home in the mid-afternoon and was looking up the stories on the internet and discovered that they had done it to Parkway, and I don't even know what other schools. Right. But there has to be an element of trust involved, and that what one parent stated, they're supposed to be reporting the news objectively, not creating it. I mean, he had to know what he was doing. He had to know what he was doing. He was trying to create something.
Yeah. Did KSDK at all before their 10 p.m. news last night, did they send anything out to parents? Did they reach out to the parents of the school in any way? Or was it just basically, if you want an explanation, watch our broadcast?
It was a statement on their website that was very brief and did not take any responsibility, I don't think. And in fact, I have it pulled up right now. News Channel 5, the last sentence, will continue to be vigilant when it comes to the safety of our schools and your children within.
Yeah, great job doing that, KSDK. Yeah. What are other parents? What are you hearing from other parents? Are they angry? Are they what are their feelings on this?
Anger. I have a friend who owns a local business in Kirkwood who last night put a message out to parents on Facebook that she was going to be bringing some treats and stuff up for the staff today at Kirkwood High School and asked for donations. Just to complete support for the staff at the high school, and outrage at KSDK, and for everything, and anger and kids, and unnecessarily terrorizing our children. We have enough to worry about, and let's focus on our education and improving that and protecting them from real dangers, not from reporters who just want to get ratings. Absolutely.
I completely agree. Were you happy with how the school handled the situation?
Absolutely. Our secretary, we can't equip ourselves for every single occurrence that might happen down the road. We can't. But Kirkwood does an outstanding job protecting our students, and all the elementary schools and middle schools do have locked doors all day long and do have buzzers. And you have to be seen on a camera and be allowed to be entered in. And people are instructed to not just let people walk in with you if they walk up behind you. I mean, our schools are doing the best they can, and the high school is just, it's a different animal because it's so large. So I'm absolutely pleased
8 different buildings, 2,000 students. That's a lot. That is a lot. And you're right. They have to go in between buildings. I mean, and like you said, unless it's going to be super futuristic and you have eye scans and they're sort of like escorted like a chain gang in between the buildings, that's not practical for kids' school.
It's not realistic.
Right.
And even then, if someone comes, it's just, I think they just handled it extremely well and communicated extremely well with parents. And it's just, it makes, it makes it when we wonder what if something real happens, are the kids going to react appropriately, or are they going to think that it's, somebody's playing wolf again?
Exactly. That's it completely. Well, I'm glad that everybody is okay, and I so appreciate you coming on with me and talking about this, because it was KSDK didn't include any sort of parent response at all in their story, and which I thought was really unfair, and I wanted to see what parents thought. So I so appreciate you coming on with me.
So outrageous. I thank you for covering this once again and for being as outraged as we are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Corolla Gloyd, parent of a student at Kirkwood High School. Take care. Thanks again.